Hi guys, it's Chris with City Girl Homestead, and it's Fun Friday. Not sure how much fun it's going to be, but anyway. So this morning I woke up in extreme pain. The last 3 days actually, barely be able to walk, so it's been kind of putting me out of sync a little bit. But I planned on getting up and doing the Fun Friday, and I was going to bake something for Tom, and well, that didn't happen. Bobby called me, and I haven't seen him in 3 weeks. And he's like, I'm getting my oil changed. Do you want to meet me in Okemos? And then him and I went to breakfast. Then he helped me via phone how to get something put in a drop box. And so, needless to say, it's 11:30. So, Tom gets out at 1. He won't be home till later tonight anyway. He's got a few errands to run. But I thought, you know what? I've been doing all this research and whatever, so why don't we just have a chat? That's something we don't do very often. I always am cooking or baking in between. So, grab your chair. I got my Ruby Red Squirt. So addicted to that pop. And you guys grab a coffee or whatever you drink. And let's get down to some stuff. Make sure you grab a paper and pencil, though, because I'm going to give you some good information today. So, it's going to be prepping and it's going to be other stuff, but, hopefully enjoy the video. If not, I'm sorry, but I had a chance to spend some time with my baby, and I did it. He's like, well, if you got that to do, Mom, it's okay. And I'm like, no. What do you want to do? Because, family comes first with me. It always has, it always will. Alright, so we're going to finish up those fun facts first. According to science, the main ingredient in marinara actually belongs in a fruit bowl. Tomato is a fruit. So it's, yeah. Almost 2/3 of America prefer their pizzas topped with pepperoni. That, I believe, because I love pepperoni on my pizza. Almost 2/3 of America say a big thanks to no thanks to pizzas topped with anchovies. I agree with that. Ugh. Pizza, you guys can do whatever you want, but fish on pizza just doesn't, no. When chocolate is the only thing that hits a spot, milk chocolate reigns supreme. Most grapes end up as wine. I could see that, but I would think they would have said jelly or something like that, but I guess it goes to wine. I don't drink wine, so I don't know. Orange peppers are the best to protect your peepers. I never knew that. My eyes are getting bad. I need to eat a lot of orange peppers. Faced with an array of chip flavors, America still prefer plain. I like plain if I have dip, but my favorite, and actually AJ's favorite and Tom's favorite, is all, what do they call that? Onion, sweet onion, whatever. Green onion, something like that. I don't know what it is, but actually then the next is plain. Honey Nut Cheerios is the most popular cereal. I can see that. The last one is these food favorites were created by the input from a chef who once served the British royalty. And that's the, believe it or not, the McDonald's chicken nuggets. That's funny. So that finishes that list. Now I found another list. I've got quite a few. 10 critical things that preppers overlook. And actually I found a few on here that I have overlooked myself. And I call myself a prepper. Number 10. Important docs package. I never thought of that. But a lot of our important documents I keep in our little safe. So I guess maybe. But I don't, you know what I mean? You don't think about that. Reminds me I got to put the deed in my safe. And number 9 is manuals and guides. Now that's one I didn't think about because we just always assume we have the internet to look that stuff up. So what if we don't? So if there's something you really don't know how to use, you might want to download and print out a manual. Number 8, hand pumps and siphons. If it went to, what is that one movie? where things went really, really bad, I could see that. You know, like you're siphoning gas out to get your car going, hand pumps, stuff like that. Another one, I've actually thought about it, and I was going to buy one, and I didn't, but I'd like to, is a manual washing machine. You can get them, I don't promote Temu anymore, but you can get them on Temu for like 25 bucks. I'm not sure how much they'd be on Amazon. Building supplies, number 6. Building supplies and repair material. I'm not sure all what you would stock up, but maybe, you know, paneling. Make sure you have screws and nails and things like that. That makes sense, though, because in a grid down situation, you would want to be able to repair whatever's messed up. 5 is fuel. I live in a neighborhood, and I'm sure my neighbors would be okay, but if somebody found out I had fuel, it'd be gone. Number 4 is fire extinguishers. We think about the kitchen fires and stuff like that, but we don't think about, like, you know, if they can't get to us and we have a small brush fire or something like that, you want something to be able to put it out. My cat's playing over by the doorway, if you see it figures. Number 3 is bleach. And I found out that you can actually clean your water with bleach so that you can drink it, because the bleach will eventually leave, and it cleans your water, so you can use it to clean your water. And this next one, I have one, but I don't know where it's at. Number 2 is pepper spray. You know, you want a way to be able to defend yourself if you happen to go out and about and things are bad. And number 1 is antibiotics. I agree with that. But you know, a lot of doctors don't want to prescribe antibiotics anymore. So, you know, I would think the second best thing would be to go to your books and find out natural ways in which you could heal, like, I don't know, tooth infection, or, you know, UTIs or whatever. There has to be natural ways in which to do that, because I'm sure back in the 1800s, they didn't just call their doctor and go, hey, I need an antibiotic. I don't think that's how it worked. Maybe it did, but I don't think so. I know, 7 minutes down. Am I bored you yet? Take another drink. I am so thirsty this morning. Okay. 30 survival skills that modern people have forgotten. And I read this list and then I hand wrote it down. Like, see, I do handwrite things. But there's some in here that I haven't done, but I think that they're important to learn. Okay. So number 1 is hand washing clothes. Well, most of us can do that. I mean, I've done it. When I first got on my own, I was broke and poor, and actually when I was a single mom, I didn't have money to go to the laundromat, and my kids needed clean clothes. So I always made sure that I could hand wash them, squeeze them out as good as I could, and hang them on the line. I'm not going to let my kids wear dirty clothes. Does it do as good as a washer? No. But do they have clean clothes that smell good? Yes. And when I was single and I was first on my own, believe me, I did a lot of hand washing. All right. Marksmanship. I think that if you're a gun owner that you should do that. Tom and I need to go back and learn again, because he says he remembers everything. He makes me nervous. I want to go back again, because if you don't use it, you lose it. You know what I mean? You forget the safety. Well, you don't forget the safety, but you forget, you know what I mean, how to use everything properly on handguns or whatever. Shotguns and rifles, I could pick one up and use it tomorrow like it was nothing. The guy I used to live with, I used to work at a prison, and we had to get proficient on guns and on the 223 and on the 12 gauge. And so what he would do is he'd take little pieces of paper and he'd put them in the trees, and I would have to blow them out of the tree. I won first place in our group as training for the prison because I worked very, very hard at it. And now, you know, that's back when I was like 19, 20 years old. You know, I mean, 57 now. I'm still okay, but not real good. And I'm not a gun lover, so. All right. This one is something that we're all guilty of. Navigating without a GPS. I think about it now, like when Tom and I take a vacation, we just punch it in and then it comes up on my screen and then it gets us where we're going. But I remember going on vacations with my ex-husband and the kids. I'm crossing these off so I don't forget them while I'm gallivanting. But we used to go to AAA and we'd get those triptychs and then it'd give us a map. How many people can actually read a map anymore? You know, I used to be a cab driver and you had to know the streets. Like, you had to know them. And if not, I carried around a Lansing map with me. It was a book, you know, and I carried it with me everywhere. Because back then they didn't have the GPS. I know, it shows my age. Didn't have the GPS and stuff, so you had to figure out how to get there. So that's something we've become very, very dependent on. Building a fire. I don't know about you guys, but I live in the city and I don't think too much about building a fire. So what Tom and I did, I looked up different ways to start fires. And a good one is take your empty toilet paper rolls and then your lint from your dryer and you stuff it down in there. So we have 2-gallon bags that are filled with those. And I'm going to tell you guys, even with that big pit outside, we light that up and it just starts it right up. So think of ways that you can build a fire. Hunting and fishing. I will go hunting, but I won't kill anything. So that's pretty pointless. But if it came down to me, you know, and don't crunch on me, but, you know, I mean, if it came down to feeding my family, I would hunt. I would kill an animal because I'm not going to let my family starve. Fishing. I already do fish. I like to fish and I want to teach AJ how to do it this summer because his daddy don't like fishing. I dropped my pen. All right. Next thing is purifying water. We did talk about that last week. You can get, now I found out you can use bleach. You get the straws. I want to get that one machine. Purifying water is a big thing. Like, I live by a river. Like, I'm 3 doors down and, you know, I think about it. But would I go down and slurp that water? Oh, no. I don't even know if it would stop me from dying if I would do that. I've seen dead people and stuff come out of there. No, probably not. And it's gross. You know, you've got, never mind, but gross. Preserving food. We've talked about that one. Tying knots. I don't know much about knots except for macrame ones, so, you know, maybe that is a good idea. Raising animals. In the city, we can have a few chickens, but like Tom said, unless we could do something that goes in ground and then above ground, our chickens would end up dead all the time. We can have 1 goat, though, and Tom's already been like, no. Something else that I think is very, very important is sewing. I have a sewing machine and I can sew. I'm not the best of it. You know, I can't do buttonholes and all that crap. But, you know, like before I had a sewing machine, I actually hand sewed a couple of short outfits for my kids. And it takes more time, but it's something that we've lost. You know, maybe not us that are older, you know, but a lot of kids don't know how to replace their buttons or to sew on a patch. You know, I wish they'd come back with the cool patches. I don't know about you guys, but I came up in the 70s, and they had the coolest patches to put on your blue jeans when they... They don't have all that anymore. That's sad. So sad. Number 12, and this is something I completely agree with, is cooking from scratch. We have gotten so used to eating everything out of a box, the freezer, you know, the freezer meals and whatever, that, and Tom and I keep talking about this, like, it seems like the millennials, they're so busy that they tend to eat out more and they don't cook. And if they do, it comes out of a box. So I always hope that younger people come over to my channel so that they can see, I mean, there's things I cook out of a box, a can, blah, 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 whatever. But a lot of it I try to do from scratch. And I'd like to hope that they would learn a few things from me too as well, because I think that's important. All right. I don't know how you do this one, but anyway, 13 is predicting the weather. Well, I live in Michigan and it changes every 5 minutes. 14 is self-defense. I think that that's important. It is important. I've never taken a self-defense class. Ours was my dad would sit on us and he'd make us kick him off. Because he said if anything else, we could kick our way out of a situation. And we both got pretty strong legs to do that. Butchering an animal. I have done it. Am I proficient on it? No. Could I become? Probably. Is it something that everyone can learn? Yes. And I think that even if you're, even if you're not into that stuff, maybe to watch a couple videos on it, at least learn how to skin it and gut it. I know that sounds gross, but my mom had to field dress my son's first deer because I didn't. I have, taken the skin off. I've chopped them into smaller pieces. I've done all of that because my ex-boyfriend was a big-time deer hunter. But I didn't know how to field dress it because he always did it. So that's something important to learn too. Using cloth diapers. I actually thought about that. My oldest one was born in 1991, and I wanted to do that. And I had started buying cloth diapers because the price, even back then, for Pampers and all that stuff were so expensive. But the problem is, the daycares wouldn't take it. So even though he was in like a private daycare, they wouldn't do cloth diapers, so it was pointless. But if you don't work, they have some really cute ones now, and they don't have, so you got pins, they've got Velcro and stuff. They're pretty cool. 17 is gardening. I think even if you live in an apartment and all you can do is your own herbs, or, you buy the let pot like we just did, or, you have a yard, whatever you have, gardening I think is very important. Even if you just grow apples, tomatoes or something like that. Because like someone said to me a long time ago, everything that you produce out of your garden takes one less stress off of off the store. And I never thought of it like that, but how many times do you go to the store and you're like, they're all out of tomatoes? Well, if you're growing your own, you're making it so that other people can have those tomatoes. All right. Keeping yourself entertained. That's honestly, you guys, that's a hard one, because what do we do now? Like, I go on and play on the internet on Facebook. I play Farmville 2 and whatever. So what would we do if we didn't have any of that? So, like, I know that I can crochet and I can do, embroidery and stuff like that, so I could stay entertained. I don't know. You think about it, like, I don't have any board games. I do have some cards, but like, what kind of things would you do to stay entertained so that you wouldn't want to kill your neighbors or something? I don't know. 19 is an important one. Learn to do mechanic work. But you know what, you guys, honestly, if you have the newer cars, there's so many things. Like, Tom tried to change the brakes, I think it was, on his dad's car that we ended up buying from him. And he couldn't get it done. He couldn't get it done. And it takes a special tool that you can only get at a dealership or at a car repair shop. So you got to think about that too. Now this one is something that I think is such a great idea. Bobby thinks I'm crazy when I say this. It's something that we've lost. We have lost so big. And that's bartering. I did it when I was in business before. Like, I bartered something that I sold for a haircut. Something I sold for this or that, whatever. You can barter your things. You can barter food. You can barter your services. There's so many things that I'm sure the government doesn't like to hear about bartering because, it doesn't feed their pocket. it can get a lot of stuff done. You know, like I remember when I did daycare for a living, I had one of the moms that she was a beautician, and I had never had my hair highlighted before. And this is back when like Christopher was like 5 and Bobby was like 3, and she wanted to go away for the weekend. And so I was like, okay, I'll take him, you know, and she says, I'll make you a deal. You keep him for the weekend and I'll give you a haircut, style, and I'll give you highlights. Well, let me tell you, from a mom that never spent money on herself, heck yeah. And I loved having the kid anyway. He's still on my Facebook. He is like my own son. So if you're watching, Woody, I love you. All right, so bartering, I think, is a big thing. First aid, we all know how to put bandages on, but maybe we need to learn and do a few videos on, you know, I'm not going to do them, but you can watch them, on how to actually wrap for serious cuts and things like that. 22 is keeping warm. That's back to us stocking up the blankets. But, you know, like we got the emergency blankets for the homeless. You know, maybe a couple of those in your stock wouldn't be such a bad idea either. That, you know, you want to be able to stay warm, especially in colder climates. Like here in Michigan today, it's 25 degrees. It's cold out. And it's not cold. Like I walked outside without a jacket. But people in, you know, other states think that Michiganders are crazy because, you know, when it comes to 30, we're ready to sit out in the sun. So we're just different than everybody else. Now this one, you guys know this is me, and I think that so many of us are like this. Number 23 is making do with what you have. And whether it's our recipes, whether it's, you know, things that we have in our house to do or whatever, making do with what we have. And I think that's something that we've forgotten. Like, when I was a little girl, my grandpa, he would save all those baby food jars, you know, the small ones or the great big ones. And he had this wood, and then he had like a screw that he screwed all the lids, and then he screwed the jars up there. And he had every screw and nail that you could think of. And so very seldom did he ever have to run to the hardware and get something. He could just fix it. Tom's dad was bad at this too, and so's Tom. They keep every little piece of wood, they keep everything, and they swear that someday that they'll use it. So we'll see. All right. This is another one. And I need to get back into it. I really do. But I'd gotten so busy that I had forgotten. Number 24 is making cleaning products. And that, I think, is a really important thing. And, you know, those cleaning sheets that I made, and the dryer sheets, and the I haven't made any dish soap yet. There's some other things that I want to learn to do. It saves money. And, you know, if you can't get to the store to buy those things, and you know, you look at, like, for instance, I'm trying to stay away from Dawn right now. And I love Dawn. But there's some very dangerous items in Dawn that I've read about. And I don't really want to keep using it. So I've been trying to go to different ones. And I've been a Dawn user for years. All right. This other one's an important thing. And as long as I got Tom around, I'm okay. If something happened to Tom, then I'm not okay. 25 is home maintenance. You know, can you change a filter? Do you know how to change one of those, whatever they are, the sockets, not sockets, but you know what I mean, for your whole, I can't think of the word. Not fuse box, but the upgraded one. Can you change those? Can you, you know, change hopefully you can change a light bulb, but can you fix the wiring if your light things go out? You know, things like that. I don't think it means like big major things like Tom has done, like put the cabinets in and all that. But basic maintenance that we need to keep going. Like if you spring a leak, can you fix it? Things like that. All right. So I was actually going to go through this whole list today too, but I'm already 25 minutes in. I don't want you guys to get too bored, so we'll do it another time. But let me finish up this list. Building a shelter. I don't think too many of us know how to do that. I will tell you, I'll do a funny story. So I grew up with all boys when we were up north. Down here it was all girls, so it was funny. But the boys were so creative. That's why I think I was like, I always wanted daughters, but I was so happy that I had sons, because nothing against girls, I'm not saying anything like that, but boys are very creative, and they're just really, you know, they can figure out anything. So can girls, but so excuse me, there was an old refrigerator, and it was in the field across the street from my grandma. And the field across the street from my grandma, like on this side down here was Ralph's grandma, over here was Ralph's mom, and then over here was my grandma. And there was this empty field in between. So we seen this cool refrigerator. And back then, you know, they were big and bulky. So we decided we were going to make a fort out of it. So we dug and dug and dug and dug and dug a hole. And we made it so that we could literally stand up inside this hole. We dug it the same size as it would be with that refrigerator laying across the top. And then we could walk right in there. Oh man, his grandma was mad. But it wasn't her property. But you know what? We made our own little fort out of that. And nobody knew where we were, because, you know, there was trees and stuff all around it. So yeah, we had our own little, we made our own little shelter. And actually, I know that sounds really stupid, but if you had to do something like that, I don't know if it'd be a refrigerator, but you know what I'm saying? You could, because the farther you go down into the dirt, the warmer that it is. Or the cooler it is. Either way, depends on where you're at. Okay. So, put a refrigerator top hole. You'll have shelter. I have all kinds of funny stories about that. Growing up with those boys, you guys, was just... It was the best thing in the world. And then raising boys made it even better, because they just... And I love girls, don't get me wrong. But, yeah, it was just so much fun. It was so much fun. Okay. Now, the other one is something that I know how to do. I can get in any car, truck, and whatever and drive it. Doesn't matter if it's manual or automatic. But you put a manual in front of some of these kids, and they have no idea. No idea how to drive it. So driving a vehicle with manual transmission. This one I'm not quite sure what it means, but I guess locating a campsite. I don't know if that's in a campground or if it's just out in the wild. You know what I mean? Like, out in the wild, I guess, would be tough, because especially like here in Michigan, we do have bears and stuff like that. And, so I guess you'd have to be kind of careful. So maybe if you're doing it out in the wild, you'd kind of have to really... Yeah, you'd have to kind of check that out. Like, you know, you wouldn't want to put your... I mean, we don't have anything here, any snakes that'll kill you, but like our Michigan rattlers will make you sick. So you don't want to put your tent or something up in a... near a, you know, a snake pit. I have another story about that. Actually, I was living in a trailer. There was 2 trailers on 20 acres, and it was like 12 miles from the highway. Maybe not, maybe about 8. But they needed to replace the well and septic. And that happened to be on my side, but it did both of the trailers. And when they opened up that dirt, they found a bed, a huge bed of Michigan rattlers. I hate snakes. I can't even imagine. I had cats that would bring blue racers and stuff and set them on my porch. That's how I actually sprained my foot twice. Yeah, them bringing snakes and stuff up. One brought a chipmunk in, let it go in my house. We had to get that out. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, maybe you really should think about where you put your campsite. Number 29 is something that we just talked about kind of yesterday. And that is avoiding panic. You know, I think that the older I get, when something happens, I mean, I still get a little like, but I think that I have gotten better than when I was younger. Like, I can remember, you know, they had a tornado watch, and I had all the daycare kids, and my house actually was 1 block over at the end. And, you know, I don't know if it's because I had so many kids I had to worry about getting into a safe place. But now, you know, I'll be like, there's a tornado watch. Okay, the wind's getting about 50. Think we should go downstairs yet? Or do you think we should stand on the front porch like all the other neighbors? That's usually what we do here. But anyway, that's probably not a good idea. Go to your basement. But I do teach my grandkids, you know, if you're at home and you can't get to the basement, you jump in the shower, you know, and just cover your head. And they're like, why, Grandma? And I go, that's the safest place for you to be. You know? But so, you know, just avoid the panic, because when you're panicked, you're not thinking. Number 30. And boy, Tom would love this one. And I do too. Repurposing items. I think it's important that, you know, like, for instance, okay, hold on a second. Oh, makes it hard. I got ice, and just to even step down, my left side's hurting. This is my old ragu container. Do you know how many different things I can use this for? I mean, I can use it to start a plant in. I can put flour in it. I can put, you know, candy in it. I can recan in it, because this has got one of those lids. Repurpose it. There's so many things you can reuse things for. Like, for instance, even these, you know, I can take the top off of that, clean it out, and I can use that to plant plants in. Just saying. I mean, that old disinfectant wipe container, I can clean it out really good, and I can store baby wipes in it. You know, I mean, just all different kinds of things that we can do. So repurposing is a really good idea too. And if you have ideas for any of these below, you know, let's share it as a community. Like I say, we won't be going through this list today because this has already taken too long a time. But I hope I didn't let any of you guys down by, you know, not cooking today with it. But it was really important for me to see my son. And he says, I gave him a hug. I'm not going to cry. I gave him a hug and I said, you know, I have really missed you. And he says, I know my wife informed me. And I go, let me guess. She told you I broke down crying. He goes, nice way to show your hand, Mom. But I really did miss him a lot. And so it was good to go and have breakfast with him this morning and spend some time with him. Because you miss those kids, you know. Even if they talk to you, it's just not the same as, you know, being face to face. So, dang kids anyway. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed the fun Friday. I'm sorry we didn't cook anything, and I hope that you learned a few things, because I did from the list as well. And from this next list that I'll have to do with you guys, there's a lot of really good things in there too. So let me know if you like the idea of us just chatting and not cooking something for a change, or if you're like, you've got to add cooking in there, Chris. Let me know what you guys think, because I want you guys to be happy as well, and I love to have you on my channel, and if you're not here, then there's no channel. That's pretty simple. But anyways, thanks for sitting along with me. I hope you drank a few drinks of beer. Here, we'll drink together again. Cheers. I need stock in Ruby Red. I need to quit it, actually. I really do. But it's so hard because I love it so much. I've never found a pop that has been so hard to quit. I was a Coke drinker for years and I gave it up because of all the caffeine in it. But this is a bad thing. Anyways, thank you for sitting along with me. And, you know, let me know in the comments below what you think. Know that I do worry about each and every one of you, you know, and I want you guys to be safe and be stocked up and be prepared and don't live in fear, but to be ready, you know. We never know from day to day, and you know what? We may go the next 500 years and never have anything happen, and our grandkids will be taking food out of our basements going, holy gosh. Because I remember my mom, you know, like we were unloading my grandma's basement, and she had, you know, tomatoes, because she hadn't cooked in so many years. She had tomatoes down there that were like forever old. And I always wondered if they'd be any good. But my sister actually took all of my mom's jars that she had downstairs. She cleaned them out, and she's used them. I wish now that I would have done that, but she's got them, and that's good. They're being passed on. Because you guys know how I feel about jars, old ones. You know, like, how many families is it fed? And, you know, for the person that said that she liked that thought, you know, you guys think I'm wacky. I really don't care. I think everything's been alive at one point, including houses. And, you know, because it had, you know, trees, you know, wood and stuff like that. And I believed, like, a house, if you notice the ones that don't get lived in, you would think they'd be fine. You know, all the windows are closed, the doors are closed, everything's fine. But they become dilapidated very, very quickly. I think a house needs feet in it. It needs laughter. It needs tears. It needs all that to keep it alive. I know, I sound weird. That's okay. Somebody's got to do it. Might as well be me. But anyway, again, thank you. I love sitting with you guys. But let me know if you ever want me to do this again, or you're like, Chris, that's way too much. Just let me know. It won't hurt my feelings. But I really do love you guys. And I love sitting here talking and chatting with you. And I really do feel like you guys are sitting right here going, Chris, you're crazy. You done lost your brains. And if you think that, that's okay too. But, and I've had a couple comments too, and I'm going to address that. Okay, so I keep my hands clean. I keep my countertop clean, all that stuff. So I'm going to try not to say anymore, my hands are clean or anything like that, because you know what? Like Marsha said, it's my kitchen, my family I'm feeding, and she goes, you don't need to do that. So for those people that are the drifters and grifters and whatever, and they say all kinds of things, I'm going to try not to say that anymore, because you know what? I know what I'm doing for my family, and I always try to make it safe. So anyways, I'll be back for dinner. We're going to do another TikTok, and I showed it to Tom last night, and he goes, wow, that looks pretty good. He loved last night's too as well. So another TikTok week, or TikTok recipe. So I think they've all been good. I have not found one yet that I didn't like, so that's good. So you guys have a blessed day. Be a blessing. And I love you. I see you guys at supper.